I'm Lynn Dragisic. Actually, I was Lynn Dragisic when I was here at Ridgewood. I was Belezzo. I'm currently the Executive Vice President for support operations at a not-for-profit organization. And I would say that Ridgewood probably started the foundation for this position. Carl?
My name is Carl Cassata. Both Lynn and I were graduates in 1966, and for the last 21 years I've run my own business, Cassata Associates. It's out in Schaumburg. We do package design. Many of the package designs that we do are for seasonal, like for Wrigley and Tootsie Roll. And if you go into any kind of a store right now, like Jewel, you'll see them down the aisle. That's us. We've done those. I've always felt that Ridgewood High School also was very, very instrumental in me developing into what I could be. I was very athletic, and I think that those athletics also helped. In fact, probably a little too much concentration on athletics and a lot less on academics, but nonetheless, I enjoyed it, and I think it helped for me to grow and contributed to a lot of what I've been successful with.
So I'm sure you had interaction with other people from different high schools while you were a student at Ridgewood, and you're aware of the radical differences in like the procedures of the Trump system. Do you think that that came into play, like the fact that you were in such a different environment? Do you think it would have influenced you differently if you were in a more traditional setting?
Well, the Trump system, I would say, really prepared you for college. Mm-hmm. So you had a large group, you had to learn how to take notes, you had a seminar, you had to do independent work. And so when you got to college, it was really pretty easy, and when everybody else was suffering a little bit because they couldn't adjust to the new place. So people thought it was a little odd in terms of what we did, but we adjusted pretty quickly.
My brother was 5 years older than me, and he attended Maine East, then he went to Maine West. And I was very fortunate. He always used to tell me, you don't know how lucky you are that you go right down Montrose to school. I used to have to get on a bus and go way over the Park Ridge and Des Plaines. And I remember telling him about Trump's system. And he looked at me and said, what? You do this, you do that? Because, of course, at Maine West and Maine East, they didn't do that. And I think that as one of the individuals who taught here for years, Angela Militello, will tell you, is that that system helped us really to interact greater. I think it was helping to us to grow our personalities and things, much different than other schools. And I remember one time a friend of his who went to Steinmetz, he lived in Norwich. That's the way it was then. He wasn't supposed to go to Steinmetz, but he did go to Steinmetz. And my brother was telling him one time, because we all played ball together, and he was laughing at what our system was as compared to his. So interesting, but I don't know. I adapted. I mean, it was great. I liked it.
What was really unique was the fact that we had very young teachers. The teachers who were 5 or 6 years older than us. And I don't know if we really realized that at first, but we recognized that there weren't many gray-haired people around the building. And there was a lot of theatrics. So I remember an English seminar where the teacher came in and he just slammed his paper on the table and he said, someone here has plagiarized. And I know exactly who it is, and I am just taken aback. And he went on and on and on about that. And we're all looking there, and then I'm thinking, did I plagiarize? You know, what? You felt really guilty. And so all of a sudden he pointed to a student, and he said, it was you. And this student turned totally red. And he was sitting there, and then the professor said, okay, he didn't really plagiarize, but I want you to write now what you thought. So it was our writing assignment for the day. It was a lot of fun.
You know, when you come from a small grammar school, any child coming into a high school, the vastness is such mind-blowing, and the adjustment you have to make takes a week, maybe 2 weeks. And what was strange was in that system was going to a large group and learning how to take notes. And I remember then going into a seminar. And then the instructor-teacher would walk around and would look and want to see your notes and what you did. And after a while, I would say, for me, it took about a month to get kind of comfortable with that. And I think that a lot of kids also weren't comfortable with it because we kept getting prompted to open up and talk more. But you know what? Once we did and we got used to it and got confident with it, it was actually pretty good. It was not pretty good. It was very good to have them stand back and smile at you because they saw the interaction and what was really the purpose and basis of that.
Were there any parts of it that you didn't like?
Maybe in the beginning, as I said, trying to take accurate notes. I always wrote too much. I didn't write short, you know, and one teacher is trying to help me with that. And even sometimes today, I still write long, and then I'm missing a little bit because the lecturer is going on, and I'm still writing, right, to be thorough, too detail-oriented. So I think that it took me a little bit longer to adapt to being brief and short.
In the 1960s, girls were not equal to boys. So, for example, there weren't any girls' competitive teams. If you wanted to do something as a girl athletically, you were a cheerleader or you were a pom-pom girl. You could do modern dance, but you didn't get to do much more.
Very good cheerleader, by the way. She was.
So, I think that was probably the biggest disappointment because you were a lot less. The other thing that I remember is I was really pretty good at math. As a matter of fact, I was the top in my class. But I wasn't chosen to get some after-school help from the teachers to go on to learn calculus. They chose a boy who didn't have as good grades as me. So it was a difference, and that was the 60s.
Some of the things I remember about, if I can get into athletics, it was great. The school was wonderful. The area was wonderful. Harwood Heights and Norwich. I came from Harwood Heights. As I grew up, there was great rivalries and competition between Harwood Heights and Norwich in sports. We would meet in tournaments, and it was really gnarling of teeth. The great thing about getting here was meeting everybody that I used to be playing against, and now we were one. And we dominated in several sports a lot because of that. We were the Tri-County Conference at the time, whether that means anything or not. But we had schools as far away as Cary Grove and as far away as North Chicago. And it was always such a trip on a Friday to leave school at 2:30 to get there for a varsity basketball game at 8 o'clock and a sophomore game at 6 o'clock. But overall, I think that when I look back at it, I don't know how much that relates to the Trump system, other than I think, again, it helped me after about 4 months or 5 months to open up more, and I go back to maybe the seminars and such that we had to do, and getting comfortable in that kind of environment. I really do believe that helped me to wake up. It helped me to become more personable. It helped me to become not just a jock. It was more of a more friendly and a greater environment for me to relate to.
Do you think being in an institution that we described as more like progressive would lean more towards any equality, or did you not see anything like that?
I think it did lean a little bit more towards equality, especially if you were in the seminars, because you had an equal voice. And I think that that made us feel like we could do anything. And so we hopefully went out and did exactly what we wanted to do.
I think that when I look back and think about it, I always thought that most of the gals, were really smart. And I think it was a lot because you had these seminars and things, and you had this exchange, right? It wasn't where you were just separated like a normal school. It was, you really did have the interaction. I know I keep repeating that, but that's, I think, what a lot of it was. And I think they were always, a lot of them I had in my seminars were very expressive, and I always enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool.
The thing that changed when I went to high school is when I was in elementary school, you had to sort of hide the fact that you were good and you got a good grade because people would criticize you. But when I got to Ridgewood, that wasn't the case. You didn't have to hide it, and as a matter of fact, you became very competitive for it.
Interesting, yeah. Some people felt that maybe in the Trump environment and structure, I want to say this because it just came to me, that maybe for the younger students it was too much freedom too soon. There was some advocacy at times. I remember a little bit of rumbling about maybe it should be for juniors and seniors, and somehow, some way you earn that as you go through a freshman and sophomore year. I don't know. I think that I think it was okay. I think even though kids were young, instead of waiting till a junior or senior year, I think it was great that they got to dive into it, even though it may have been a little bit different and so forth in the beginning. Probably by the midpoint of your freshman year, maybe three-quarter point, you started to really get into it and understand and kind of have a rhythm with it.
People like that.
Well, Mr. Militello had said that there were several people that would come in here on occasion. There could be, a dozen people a week, maybe 24 people a week. And someone said, yeah, like being in a fishbowl or being in a zoo. I don't know. I think when you're young like that, and you see strange people maybe coming in, you don't know who they are. I think it's maybe more than that, than anything else as to who are these people and what are they doing here. But personally speaking, I don't remember being offended or feeling weird about that.
I don't think I remembered a lot of people being around because we were always moving around. You had to get all these students into a large group, right? And then they all had to leave, and then they had to go to other rooms. So you were always moving around. And of course, some of us didn't move as quickly down the halls as the teachers might have liked, but we had a good time.